Moscow now and join Dr. Henry Sardaryan, who is a Russian representative of the UN Committee of Experts on Public Administration. Good to see you. What do you believe President Putin and the Kremlin's view will be ultimately of a possible summit with President Biden?
Sorry, I didn't hear you well.
The view from Russia on a possible summit, do you think it will happen with President Biden?
Okay, Russia has expressed its will to have negotiations and to try to find a compromise on the most important issues which are now a problem between Russia and the US. However, Russia has also indicated that it's not ready to hold negotiations forever on different issues which have to do nothing with the main problems which Russia has talked about several weeks ago when it has offered the points on which it needs US guarantees for Russia's security.
What does Russia then see as being a compromise?
Well, first of all, we know that the most important point is receiving guarantees in a written form on the non-enlargement of NATO in further, and especially when we talk about Ukraine. Also, the United States have provided their own offer, which includes negotiations on different kind of weapons and their limitation. However, for Russia, the most principal question here is that we shouldn't have any further enlargement of NATO. This is the
given we have heard from NATO many times that Russia doesn't get to dictate who joins, where does that leave us? Where does that leave the situation? Do you believe we're on the brink of war?
No, I think that we shouldn't pay too much attention to what the NATO representatives say at the moment, because we still have negotiations. We still see that there is diplomacy going on right now, and if that's the real position of NATO, that it's not going to be discussed, that Russia is not the one to tell who could join or couldn't join, then we wouldn't have all these negotiations going on. So I think that there's still a chance that we can reach a deal here. And in order to do that, we need a less ideologized and a more realistic and more pragmatic approach from the Western countries and from NATO. Because during these years, it wasn't Russia whose borders came closer to the NATO. It was vice versa. It was NATO who went through different stages of enlargement, and now they are at the brink of Russia's border, which is the red line for Russia.
What can we read into the fact that President Putin is holding an unscheduled meeting today with his Security Council?
Well, we know that the situation in the eastern part of Ukraine, in Donbas region, and in that part of Ukraine is critical right now. We have thousands of refugees from Donbas in Rostov in Russia at the moment, and the number grows. And we know that the Ukrainian armed forces have broken the ceasefire for many times during these days, and now it's very important that Russia provides the security of those people and helps refugees, and also tries to do everything possible in order to keep safe the lives of people who live in that region as well, because as we know, the vast majority of them are Russian citizens.
Dr. Henry Sardaryan, thank you very much for joining us from Moscow. We're going to stay in Moscow now and